Hello. Today, I will go over what is Asian and Asian American cultural studies. My name is Professor Jenny Bond. Please like and subscribe so my algorithm will go up, and also I can communicate with you directly. Cultural studies. It's such a wondrous term. It can mean cinema, it can mean sexuality, ethnography. It's from the Frankfurt School, critical theory, diaspora. Many people actually will say that it's everything, but actually what cultural studies is, it looks at modern cultural projections and looks at systems of power. Now let's go over the beginnings of cultural studies. Now, in 1964, we had British founders, Richard Hogarth, Raymond Williams, E.P. Thompson, and Stuart Hall. These powerhouses created and formed cultural studies in Britain, and it's actually spread all over the world now. And actually, these are our 4 founding members. Cultural studies. Now, you're thinking, what is cultural studies? Well, cultural studies, Simon During calls cultural studies engaged analysis with contemporary culture. So basically an AKA would be pop culture. It looks at kind of popular culture, modern times. That's why a lot of people love culture studies, from people who do comic books, from people who do movies, from people who do books and art. Okay, so what is this cultural studies? Well, number one, it's interdisciplinary, which means it's like made up of multiple disciplinaries. It's not just one. And also it looks at power, the dynamics of power and how you produce, and how it looks at power, particularly looking at race, class, gender, sexuality, and how it produces certain things. Many people use cultural studies such as English, sociology, media, communications, linguistics, history, even anthropology. Now, there's 3 things that you should know about cultural studies, and this is very important. Cultural studies is partisan, it takes a position, it's committed, and never stops, and it's also very political, right? Because you're politically analyzing things. Now, cultural studies is everything, and also it is, but it's actually, and maybe people think that it's everything, but actually it's everything on production, but also a commitment to looking at equality and social justice. Now, there's kind of critiques on cultural studies for sure. Now, like one of the critiques that tends to be Anglo focus, it's too interdisciplinary. It doesn't have its own like theories and methods. It's formless, it's too relative, and it's difficult to define. So for instance, in my classes, I'm going to have them write about Hong Kong Disneyland, because that is a cultural studies, modern times, but Hong Kong Disneyland was formed from some sort of inequality in terms of how they did form the park. Also, cultural studies can look at food dynamics. It can look at fashion. It can look at books. And I have to say, literary cultural studies people are, in some ways, very much leading the way in looking at different forms of literary production. But then you're asking, but what is InterAsia cultural studies? Well, it's what you guessed. It's actually looking at modern forms of Asian pop culture, such as BTS, the #1 global smash sensation on the planet. Please Google or YouTube BTS Butter or their Tiny Desk, excellent. Or Bollywood movies, you know, one of the leading movie houses industries in the planet, Hallyu, which is Korean pop. Of course, Hong Kong film and kawaii culture, which is like Hello Kitty and Pokemon. But you're thinking, but what is cultural, Asian American cultural studies? Well, as you know, Mulan was a huge hit all over the world. And that's basically a very Asian American film. Shang-Chi also was the global #1 film, as well as Crazy Rich Asians. And Miss Marvel in comic books is now making huge inroads. So that's actually looking at these popular cultural forms and analyzing it and critiquing it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.